Before we talk about what is going to happen on July 19th at the World Cup final, I need to tell you about something that already happened. Something that happened less than 12 months ago, at the exact same stadium where the World Cup final will be played, with the exact same man involved. And something that, looking back now, was not just a trophy presentation, it was a rehearsal. In August 2025, FIFA held the final of its revamped Club World Cup at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The match was between Chelsea and Fluminense. Trump attended. He sat in the VIP section. He watched the match. Chelsea won. And then, as part of the trophy ceremony, Donald Trump was invited onto the stage to present the Club World Cup trophy to the Chelsea captain. He walked onto the stage, he handed the trophy over, and then the Chelsea players began their celebration, the moment that belonged entirely to them and to the sport. And Trump did not leave the stage, he stayed there. Standing on the presentation stage, in the middle of Chelsea's trophy celebration, while the players were holding the trophy, hugging each other, jumping, spraying champagne, Trump was there, on the stage, in the frame, in the middle of the moment that was supposed to belong to football. This detail was reported at the time. It generated comment and criticism, and then the news cycle moved on. But that moment at the Club World Cup was not just an awkward overstay on a trophy presentation stage. That moment was the template. That moment was the proof of concept. And on July 19th at the World Cup final, the most watched sporting event on Earth, broadcast live to over 1 billion people, that template will be deployed on the biggest possible stage. I am MB. This is House of MB. Today we are going back in time, back to 2019 specifically, and then forward through every step of how Donald Trump turned the FIFA World Cup into an America First project, using direct quotes and documented evidence that, taken together, tell a story so deliberate and so systematic that it is impossible to dismiss as coincidence. Let us start with a quote. September 2019. Trump is standing outside the White House. He has just had a meeting with FIFA President Gianni Infantino. As he walks toward Marine One, the presidential helicopter, he stops to speak to reporters, and he says this: "We are going to have to extend my second term because 2026 I am going to have to extend it for a couple of years. I don't think any of you would have a problem with that, but I hope you are going to remember me in 2026. I hope you are going to remember me in 2026. This is Donald Trump in 2019, standing outside the White House after a meeting with FIFA's president, telling reporters that he hopes they will remember him in 2026, 7 years before the tournament. The quote was reported, it was noted, it was treated as a typical Trump quip, slightly outrageous, slightly amusing, quickly dismissed. But look at that quote from where we are standing today, with Trump confirmed as co-presenter of the trophy at the final, and it reads very differently. It reads like a statement of intent, a promise to himself, made publicly, that he would make the 2026 World Cup a moment of personal legacy. And here we are, 2026, and the world is indeed remembering him. His name is in every World Cup headline. His relationship with FIFA's president is described by that president on live television as we are together all the time. His administration controls the security infrastructure of the tournament. His immigration policies shape who can and cannot attend. His son-in-law helped choose the final venue. And at that venue on July 19th, he will be standing on that stage handing the trophy to the winning captain. He hoped we would remember him in 2026. He made sure of it. Now let us trace every step of how this was constructed, because the story of Trump's involvement in the 2026 World Cup is not a series of coincidences. It is a series of deliberate choices made over years by people who understood exactly what the World Cup could mean for an America First political project. The involvement begins almost immediately after Trump first took office in 2017. Within months of his inauguration, Trump and his administration began actively championing the united bid to host the 2026 World Cup. Trump said at the time, "They were calling me constantly to try to get me to come on board, but it only took one call because when I heard World Cup, I wanted to do it." He wanted it immediately, not because of any deep personal passion for football, not because of any particular conviction about the sport's development in America. He wanted it because he understood what it was. The biggest sporting event in the history of the world, an event watched by more people than any other, An event that fills television screens in every country simultaneously. An event that generates economic numbers large enough to serve as a proof point about a presidency. When Trump heard World Cup, he wanted it. Because Trump understood, better than perhaps any political figure who has ever engaged with FIFA, exactly what the World Cup means in terms of political and media value, and once he decided he wanted it, he pursued it with systematic determination. Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, became directly instrumental in the hosting arrangements. According to The Athletic, Kushner arranged a strategic lunch that brought together FIFA President Infantino, regional politicians, and major New York business leaders specifically to anchor MetLife Stadium in New Jersey as the centerpiece venue for the 2026 tournament, and crucially as the host of the final itself. Think carefully about what that means. The venue where the World Cup final will be played, the venue where Trump will stand on stage and present the trophy to the winning captain, was secured through direct intervention by Trump's son-in-law. The most important single location in the entire tournament, the venue for the most watched moment of the most watched event on Earth, was shaped by Kushner's networking, and it is the exact same venue where Trump stood on stage at the Club World Cup final and refused to leave during Chelsea's celebration. This was not an accident. Every piece connects. The 2019 Statement of Intent, the first-term championship of the bid, Kushner securing the final venue. The second-term relationship with Infantino described as we are together all the time. The Club World Cup dress rehearsal where the template was tested. And now, the main event. Let us now fact-check the central claim Trump has been making about this tournament, because this claim reveals something important about how he is using the World Cup politically. Trump said at the White House on June 10th, most successful World Cup they have ever had. They have never sold tickets at that level. They have never sold that many tickets so quickly. Is this true? Partly. And the part that is not true is the part that matters most. FIFA did sell over 6 million tickets for this tournament. Infantino himself confirmed this and called demand unprecedented by a factor of 10 or more. In raw numbers, 6 million is more than any previous World Cup. The previous record was approximately 3.5 million from the 1994 World Cup, also hosted in the United States. So in absolute number terms, Trump's claim about ticket sales volume has some basis. But here is what the raw number conceals. The 2026 World Cup features 48 teams playing 104 matches, approximately 40% more games than the maximum 64 games played at any previous 32-team World Cup. Of course, more total tickets have been sold. There are 40% more matches to sell tickets for. The meaningful comparison is not total tickets sold, but something like tickets sold per match, or percentage of available tickets filled, or the accessibility of those tickets to ordinary fans. And on that last measure, accessibility to ordinary fans, the picture looks very different from the success story Trump is selling. PolitiFact investigated Trump's most successful claim. What they found was this. As of June 1st, the cheapest tickets available on FIFA's official marketplace for opening round matches were listed from $242 to $960. $242 as the minimum, not the average, not the premium, the minimum for a resold group stage ticket. Ed Farnsworth, communications director for the Society for American Soccer History, told PolitiFact that the amount of lower-cost tickets was insultingly small. Football Supporters Europe filed a formal complaint against FIFA, accusing it of excluding ordinary fans with its ticket pricing. Lawmakers launched investigations. FIFA used dynamic pricing for the first time in World Cup history, meaning prices increased as demand increased, pricing out the fans who tried to buy tickets later as the tournament's excitement grew. The 1994 World Cup in the United States, which set the previous attendance record, was celebrated for its accessibility. Working-class football fans, families, ordinary Americans attended matches. That World Cup was democratic in a way that the 2026 tournament, with its dynamic pricing and minimum resale prices above $200, fundamentally is not. Most successful ever, that is what Trump calls it. He measures success in raw numbers and superlatives, the same way he measures everything. The human dimension. who can afford to attend, whose experience of this World Cup is shaped by a pricing model that excludes ordinary supporters, does not appear in Trump's metric. This is America First applied to football. Now let us talk about something that reveals how FIFA under Infantino operates when its commercial and political priorities conflict with the interests of the people football is supposed to serve. After the 2025 Club World Cup, FIFPro, the Global Football Players Union issued a formal statement. The statement came in response to Infantino's decision to exclude FIFPro from FIFA's discussions about player welfare during the Club World Cup. FIFPro described in that statement what they called the autocratic tendencies that have defined Infantino's reign. The global organization that represents the players, the human beings whose performances create the product that generates FIFA's billions, was excluded from discussions about those players' welfare at FIFA's own tournament. Player welfare at the Club World Cup was a genuine and serious issue. The expanded Club World Cup format required players to compete in an additional major tournament during what should have been their recovery and preseason period, coming at the end of one of the most demanding domestic seasons in football history. Player welfare concerns had been documented and were the subject of ongoing discussions between FIFPro and FIFA. And then at the final itself, at the moment that symbolically concluded the tournament, Infantino excluded the players' own union from the conversation, and Trump stood on the stage during the trophy celebration and did not leave. Both of these things happened at the same event, at the same venue where the World Cup final will be held. The players' voices excluded. The political figure's presence extended beyond what the ceremony required. The pattern is clear. The people the tournament is supposed to be for pushed aside. The political figure who wants the tournament for his own purposes centered. Now let us place everything in its full context, because the individual stories we have covered in this video and across the entire House of MB World Cup series connect into a picture that deserves to be stated plainly and directly. Donald Trump decided in 2017 that he wanted the World Cup. He spent years building the political and commercial framework to take ownership of it, using his son-in-law to shape the logistics, using his administration to provide the security and political support FIFA needed, using his relationship with Infantino to create the personal alliance that Infantino would eventually describe on national television as "we are together all the time." He tested the trophy moment at the Club World Cup in 2025, walked onto the stage, handed the trophy, stayed when he should have left, learned what worked and what the response would be. And now, at the culmination of 7 years of deliberate construction, he is 7 weeks away from standing on that stage at the World Cup final on July 19th and presenting the most iconic trophy in world sport to the winning captain of the greatest tournament on earth, in front of over 1 billion people, at a venue his son-in-law helped choose, alongside a FIFA president who says they are together all the time, with a tournament that his administration has shaped through immigration policy, security infrastructure, and political positioning. I hope you are going to remember me in 2026. He said that in 2019. We will remember him. The question, the one that football fans who care about what this sport stands for need to sit with, is what exactly we will be remembering, because there are 2 possible memories here. One memory is of a president who championed bringing the World Cup to America, who supported the tournament's growth to 48 teams, who oversaw record ticket sales and a successful hosting of football's greatest event. That memory is real. Those things happened. The other memory is of an organization, FIFA, that allowed a sitting head of state to turn the most sacred moment of its most sacred tournament into a political production. That allowed the trophy presentation at the World Cup final to become an image shaped by political calculation rather than footballing achievement. That excluded the players' own union from welfare discussions. That priced ordinary fans out of the stadium. That said, we are together all the time about the head of state of one of its host nations on that head of state's favorite political television program. Both of these memories will be real. Both will be true. And football fans, for as long as they watch this sport and care about what it represents, will need to decide which one they focus on. I am MB. This is House of MB. 7 years of deliberate construction, 3 weeks of extraordinary football, and 1 month left until the moment Trump planned since 2019. We will be here for every moment of it. Subscribe, hit the bell, share this video with every football fan who deserves to see the full picture behind the beautiful game they love. And I will see you in the next one.